Today I want to try to answer the question, is Real Broker good for real estate teams? And that's whether you're creating a team from scratch at Real or you're transferring a team from another brokerage over to Real. And to answer this question, we're going to take a look at a couple of different aspects of any brokerage that are pretty important to team leaders and evaluate the three different types of team structures you can have at Real Broker. So the first aspect I want to take a look at is support, because the more support a brokerage provides to its agents, the less time that a team leader needs to spend answering silly and mundane questions like, where do I get a Real Broker shirt from? Or how do I get business cards? Or how do I submit a contract for compliance? As a team leader, these are not necessarily the questions that you want to be spending your time on. Instead, you want to spend your time training them on how to generate business and convert that business. And luckily, I think that Real Broker does very well at supporting its agents with access to information and education. And they've got multiple ways that you can get answers to your questions. In the Real Broker app, they even have an entire section called Support, and within there, they have several different frequently asked question guides. I actually find these very helpful. So when your agent comes to you and say, hey, where can I get a Real Broker shirt from? The first thing out of your mouth should be, have you checked the frequently asked question guides on your Real Broker app? Now, let's say that agent has a question that they can't find in one of these guides. The next step is to tell them to start a live chat with somebody at Real Broker. So they actually have a Real Broker support chat right into your app where you can get all your questions answered. And I think having both these features built right into the app is pretty important for team leaders, because then all you need to do is train your agents to go here first when they have a question and only come to you when they can't find their answer within the frequently asked question guides or through the text chat support here. Another support feature that they have is their Real Academy, and here they have a series of video training and slideshow presentations going over all the different aspects of being an agent, but what I think is more important is how to use the individual software that Real provides to its agents. So if an agent has a question like, how do I submit this contract for compliance? The first thing out of your mouth is, have you watched the training on how to do that within Real Academy? So ultimately, as a team leader, you want to be the source of the source. You don't want to be spending your time training your agents on how to use each individual piece of software and where to get business cards and t-shirts from. You just want to show them where to get that information at. And Real Broker, I think, makes that very easy for you by having an abundance of sources and references and training that you can direct your agents and your team members to use. So as far as support for their agents, I think Real does an excellent job at that. And that's going to make your job as a team leader a lot easier. The next thing I want to take a look at is fees for team members. So I think the fees at a brokerage are pretty important as well for a team leader. If your team members have to pay a very high fee to the brokerage and the company and monthly fees and E&O insurance and everything, it's going to be a lot harder for them to justify also giving you a percentage of their commission checks as the team leader. But luckily at Real, the fees are very minimal, especially when you compare that to typical franchise-based brokerages. So at Real Broker, there are no monthly fees like a lot of other brokerages have, and Real Broker covers your E&O insurance. So that alone is going to make it a lot easier for your team members. And if you have the standard team at Real, and I'll go over the differences between the three different types of teams a little later on, but with a standard team, their cap to Real is only $6,000 a year. So if they're giving you as a team leader 30%, 40%, 50% of their commissions, having these very low fees at Real is going to make that a lot easier for them. And one other thing that I really love about this is that those fees and that cap is across the board no matter what state, what city you're in. When I was with Keller Williams, every individual franchise owner did things a little bit differently. So I could be at a Keller Williams office in one city and a Keller Williams office in another city does things completely differently, and how they handle E&O insurance, how they handle caps, whether or not they have monthly fees or not. But with Real, it's across the board, it's very simple, and your team is going to have the exact same fees as anybody else's team in any other state. So as far as fees go at Real, because they have such minimal fees, I think it's going to make it a lot easier for team leaders to grow teams here. Now, another thing I want to talk about is scalability of your team. And what I mean by this is, let's say you start off with a small team of 2-3 people. If you want to scale that up to 40, 50 people, maybe 100 people over time, does Real have the infrastructure in place that you can grow that team, or do they have, some artificial caps in place that you can really only grow so large like some other brokerages have? And this is where their business model of having one broker per state comes into place. When I was with Keller Williams, I had a small team, and there was an agent with Keller Williams that was in the next city over that I had a great relationship with, and I wanted to add him to my team. The problem was he was in a different Keller Williams office with a different broker, and they just did things differently. And for me to add somebody to my team when they're in a different broker's office, it got very complicated, very messy, and I had to have a lot of communication between the two brokers. In the end, it just wasn't worth the complications involved in that. And this is how most franchise-based brokerages are. They make it easy enough for you to grow a team locally within your city, but if you want to expand your team to another city or a city beyond that, where those offices are run by different brokers, it makes it very complicated, and that franchise model is not really structured for teams to grow that large. However, at Real, there is one broker per state. So I could start off my team in my city and then easily expand to other cities because we're all underneath the same statewide broker. And I love that. I love how easy they make it for you to expand your team and grow across your entire state. And once you have an agent in each major city in your state, if you want to keep growing and expand to other states, Real Broker has the infrastructure in place for you to do that as well. Because they have different team structures, they have a team structure that is perfect for expanding nationwide. So as far as scalability and how big you can grow your team, Real makes it very easy for you to grow your team, especially within your state, and expand to other cities. And they have the infrastructure in place if you want to go nationwide with your team. Now, there's also one very powerful and unique benefit at Real if you were to transfer an entire team to this brokerage, and that's revenue share. So revenue share is partially how Real is growing so quickly. And essentially, they reward agents for attracting people to the company and bringing people on board by giving them a percentage of the cap that they receive from that agent. So if I were to bring an agent on board and they paid to Real their full $12,000 cap, Real would reward me by giving me $4,000 out of that $12,000 cap in the form of revenue share. And it gets even better than that in that I'll receive revenue share for 5 tiers down. So if that agent brings on somebody, I'll receive revenue share. And if that agent brings on somebody, I'll receive revenue share going 5 tiers down. And this has huge potential for additional streams of income for both you as a team leader and for your agents, your team members, if they then build out their downline. And as a team leader, this gives you a lot of flexibility as well. If you want to take that money that you get from revenue share and reinvest it back into your agents and into your team, you could do that. If you want to take that revenue share money and then just charge your team members less of a percentage of their commission, you can do that. It gives you a lot of flexibility, and it gives them multiple streams of income as well as agents. And this revenue share model is very unique to Real. You're really not going to see this in very many franchise-based brokerages. So now let's talk about the 3 different types of teams that you can have at Real Broker. And I love that they give you this flexibility with it. They're not very dogmatic that you have to have a team like this. They're much more fluid, much more flexible with how you grow and create your team at Real Broker. So the first type of team that they have is just called their standard team. It's kind of the normal team that you see at many different brokerages where you have a team leader and then you have team members underneath of them, and those team members give that team leader a portion of their commission. So with the standard team, the team leader has a $12,000 a year cap and each team member has a $6,000 a year cap. Their E&O insurance is included in that cap and there are no monthly fees. Now, to be a team leader with a standard team, you have to have a minimum production of at least $5 million in volume in the previous 12 months. And there is a minimum that the team members have to pay to the team leader of at least 25% of their commission, and that's in addition to the 15% of the commission that has to go to Real Broker to pay their $6,000 cap. And for a standard team, you have to have a signed team agreement on file with Real Broker. And so that's the typical team structure that we see in our industry. The one big advantage, again, with Real is that with that team structure, you can grow that across your entire state because you all have the same broker that you're underneath. So the next type of team you can have at Real Broker is going to be a domestic team. So this is typically a husband and wife that can have a domestic team. It can also be any other family member. So my mom's a real estate agent, for example. So her and I could create a domestic team with the 2 of us on there as well. And with this type of team, you're essentially acting as one agent. So the 2 of you have one $12,000 cap. You have one Skyslope account. You have one workplace account. and any benefits that you get in terms of revenue share or stock bonuses is all shared under one account. So essentially you just have two agents that are acting as one agent on paper. And so a domestic team, there are some other brokerages that have team structures like that, but surprisingly not all of them allow domestic teams like that. And I would say if you are a husband and wife duo and your brokerage does not allow that, this is a very easy way for you to save a lot of money, is to create a domestic team and the two of you act underneath of one cap rather than separate cap. Now the last type of team structure that you can have at Real, which I find very interesting and I think is pretty unique, you don't see very often in other brokerages, they call a marketing group. So with a marketing group, each member of the team pays a full $12,000 cap to Real, just like they were a solo agent, but they can all operate underneath the same branding and same marketing. And what I like about the marketing group is just the flexibility with this model. So there is no minimum percentage that a team member has to pay to the team leader like you have with the standard team of 25%. So if you wanted to charge everybody, let's say 10% of their commission to join your marketing group, or a flat fee of $500 a month or $1,000 a month to join your marketing group, you can do that. Or if you and a few friends in different states across the country just want to create a national brand for your team and start marketing yourself as a national team, you can do that with this type of group. I can also see this being very useful if you wanted to create some sort of referral network as well. So for example, I own the URL livinginmaryland.com and I put out blog posts and videos all about the state of Maryland. Now let's say I got a lot of leads up in Northern Maryland or Western Maryland. I could create a marketing group and have an agent up in that area and essentially just have a referral agreement with them, and I can tell people, great, I have an agent on my team that I can refer you to up there. And I can refer them to that agent up there in my marketing group and get my referral fee, but it's not a standard team. So I'm not taking a portion of every single commission check that that agent's making, only the commission checks that they and I decide on, which would be the ones that I refer to them. So with a marketing group, you have that type of flexibility to create whatever type of agreement that you want with the individual agents. I also see this being very helpful for a brand new agent. Maybe doesn't have any branding, doesn't have any experience. They can join a marketing group, and now instead of saying, yeah, I sold 2 homes last year, they can say, yeah, my team sold 40 homes last year and $20 million in volume. So by joining a marketing group, it's going to give them a lot more credibility. So marketing groups are very flexible and they can go across state lines, and I think that they're a pretty unique type of team here at Real Broker. So to answer the question, is Real Broker good for real estate teams? Yes. And in fact, I think it's one of the best options out there right now for real estate teams. It's going to give the team leaders the flexibility in how they structure their team, allow them to scale the team up very easily across your entire state and then across the entire nation if you chose to. The agents within your team are going to have excellent support and training, and in the end, they're probably going to make more money as well because of all the minimal fees that Real has, the only $6,000 a year cap, and the additional stream of income through revenue share that Real offers. So if you're interested in Real or have additional questions, I'd be more than happy to hop on a one-on-one video call with you and answer all your questions about Real and see if it'd be a good fit for you. Feel free to email me at malcolm@livinginmaryland.com. We can set up a time. We're going to answer your questions through email. Or you can click right here to watch some additional videos I've made all about Real Broker. And once again, email me at malcolm@livinginmaryland.com to set up a time for a one-on-one video call with you. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you over in the next video.